Okay, why do you support Trump?
He's continually put American interests first over other countries, and he's significantly better than previous Democratic presidents.
Okay, and like what specific things indicate that to you?
In terms of depends on what policy you're looking for. Looking at national or domestic.
National or domestic, wouldn't that be the same thing?
No, I mean, sorry, international or domestic.
Either one, because you said that he puts America first. Maybe let's start with domestic then.
Right. Well, with in terms of both international and domestic, the tariff policy he's instituted has helped create massive revenue for the government and return back to the American people. On top of putting American interests first, of bringing manufacturing back to the country and helping to renegotiate trade deals with other foreign actors.
Okay. So there's a big issue with this one. Real domestic manufacturing investment has declined every single quarter of Trump's administration so far. What are your thoughts about that?
In terms of presently, it's going to take a time because there's always going to be a shock to the system once you reintroduce changes. So you'd expect certain things to decline immediately when you do that. And because we've intentionally embedded ourselves with countries like China, we are going to see that immediate reaction by other places, seeing why, trying to adjust their expectations and their business operations to better fit those new restrictions.
So the tariffs have already been deemed to be unconstitutional by the Supreme Court, and the tariffs that Donald Trump put in place, the 10% universalized tariff that he put in place in response to the Supreme Court determining that it's unconstitutional, is only in place for 150 days. So when are we going to expect to see these impacts? It has to be within that time, right? Because Congress isn't going to vote to extend them.
It depends. Not necessarily has to be immediate. Because it's more of if you're looking at somebody like Trump and his policies that he's putting forth, it's not just about what happens in the immediate. And if you think everything happens immediately, then you're going to be slightly delusional and disappointed when those actions don't happen right away. I think an example would be on more domestic side, when Trump nominated 3 different Supreme Court justices to the Supreme Court during his term. Those justices didn't necessarily bring about the results that he wanted in his term, but 2 years after he was out of office in 2022, they reversed Roe v. Wade and Obergefell in the Dobbs decision. So it's not necessarily about what happens in his term or in the immediate months following the action. It's also about what's the precedent that it's set and what comes in the future.
Okay. I'm not seeing a response specifically to what I brought up. You said it will come in the future, but I just told you the limitations of it being in place because it was determined to be unconstitutional by the Supreme Court, so it didn't act as a revenue mechanism because they have to try to pay back that to the companies that are just going to keep that money and not pass it to the consumers that mostly paid for it. And then also... And then also in terms of the tariff that he put in place, it's only in place for 150 days, again, from the original time he put it in place, which was like a few months ago at this point. I think it was in April. And it's only going to be in place for 150 days. And then Congress isn't going to vote it into place, so it's going to go away. So if the tariffs don't have an impact at all within over about 2 years or so, then when are you going to expect to ever see the impact if the tariffs are going to go away?
Well, I don't know if it's guaranteed that they will go away, or they'll just be reintroduced. They'll be introduced in a different way.
So you think Congress will vote on it? Do you think Congress will extend the tariffs that Trump placed universal?
It's potentially, yes.
Do you think that most of Congress agrees with that? Do you think that you got enough votes for that?
As of right now, when you have control of both houses, yes.
But not all of the Republicans even support the tariff.
You don't need all Republicans to have it.
And also, don't you have to pass the filibuster too?
No.
No, is it just a 51 in the Senate?
No, I'm not certain on the exact voting requirements for tariff passage, but I think the point I'm trying to say is it's not necessarily just about him trying to get those tariffs reintroduced once the 150 days is elapsed. Is more of if companies know or our countries know, hey, these tariffs are going to be in place for the next 5 months. Let's try to get Trump to the table in the United States by extension and try to work out a different trade deal. And maybe that means that the tariffs are going to be in place moving forward, or we're going to have to lower our own tariffs. Because you
Why
saw
haven't we
when
seen
Trump,
an investment increase at all yet, is my question.
because business takes time.
No, you
That's,
could
it's
say it
not,
takes time for the production to increase, but it doesn't make sense for us not to see an increase in investment within a year and a half. We've
yes,
seen a
because
decline every single quarter.
not, I'd have to look at the numbers to see
Want me to show
what
you?
that overall investment is. Because there has been investment by various different companies in different ways that because economics can be a zero-sum game to a certain extent, you're going to see sometimes by certain dips mean that are certain positives as well. So just because there's a negative flow on all investment over time.
Do you see a screen? This is Trump's administration
yes.
so far. After massive
Yeah.
growth under the Biden administration. This is all
And I guess how
Trump.
much? Okay, but I guess if you're looking over since the beginning of your graph in 2010, that's even if it drops to the level of 2015, that's still not that's not as bad as it was previously.
What? Or what are
That's
you talking
2010,
about?
right?
In 2015, that'd be a huge setback. Hello? Will you see all
No,
this
no, no.
growth here under Biden?
If it's dropping, yes, but you can't have one. You can't live under the illusion of perpetual economic growth forever or investment.
You're just being ridiculous. Yes, we have the ability to grow in terms of the real manufacturing investment, right? And we wouldn't expect to see such decline. Why are we seeing decline once Trump gets in office after seeing continual growth under Biden? You say we're not going to see continual growth. Isn't that what you want to see in the sector if you're trying to impose tariffs? That's literally incoherent. You need the growth in order to build the industry. You can't just say, oh, we're never going to see perpetual growth. Well, then you're not going to bring back those jobs. That makes zero sense.
No,
we've seen the
if
worst
I were
year
to
of job growth in the past 4 years. We've seen unemployment increase. We've seen real GDP growth slow. We've seen real median wage growth slow. We've seen practically every indicator of our economy become worse off since Trump got in office. What has Trump done to make it better?
But okay, so two things. One, the Biden increase is you're presupposing that all that increase was just Biden alone. Like even that first year two, 1 and 2 into his administration.
Can I point you to the policies he passed that would have caused that? The bipartisan infrastructure bill, the Chips and Science Act, the Inflation Reduction Act.
All of which increased the regardless of I'm not saying what those were those acts themselves, but there's constant bleed over from administration to administration. So if the year 1 and 2 of each presidency is going to have some be the after effects of the administration prior. So the boost that Trump felt in late 2016, early 2017, maybe going even to 2018. Some of that was his own, but some of that was also because Obama had set up certain things in place that it was ready to go and increase. So the same thing would be with Biden. If those you're 21 and 22, you're coming out of COVID. So even if you passed every single bill imaginable, that would not account for all the growth that Trump would have set up in his first administration. So some of what Biden's the drop off that we're seeing as in Trump's this first year is a result of the mistakes that Biden made in his term. So some of that
what did Biden do in his term that caused the decline in real domestic manufacturing investment under Trump after seeing massive growth under Biden?
I would have to do more research on that particular point.
Then why did you claim it?
I claim that Trump is a significantly better president.
You just blamed Biden for causing the lower real manufacturing investment under Trump that we've seen because you tried to say that Donald Trump's tariffs have brought back domestic manufacturing to this country. And I told you that U.S. manufacturing investment has declined every single quarter of Trump's administration so far after seeing a massive growth in investment
my argument.
under the Biden-Harris administration.
You entirely strawman me.
I'll explain how I strawmanned.
I said that to take into account the reason for economic growth can be explained partially by previous administrations. So But you can't point to anything that would have caused that. I asked you, can you tell me what he would have done that would have caused that? And you said I need to do more research. Okay, then you can't make the claim. Then the claim is not supported. Because you were asking about Biden's my issues with Biden under his administration.
You
I
brought up
was
Biden,
saying,
sir.
dude, stop. Okay. I was saying that to take into a full account of the entire reason for the growth can be explained in part by previous administrations. That doesn't mean that they can take all credit and all credit goes to the previous ones, but that some of it will be accounted for by previous because of how economics works and how finance works. There are certain things that are going to be in place and set in the future, knowing, hey, I'm not going to see the funding for this or the payment of these um, things right now, but I know in 2 years' time from now or in 3 years' time that it's going to feel the full effects. That was my argument. It was not to say that everything under Biden was completely terrible and that he and all the growth was completely fake.
Can I ask you a
I was
question?
just saying.
Can you
Go ahead.
describe what Biden did to partially cause the decline in growth?
Yes, passing trillions and trillions of dollars of stimulus packages to
That would have caused growth, right?
on the short end. Yes, that's why it makes sense that there is growth, because when you stimulate an economy with trillions of dollars, you should expect to see growth, because if businesses know, hey, I have millions and billions of dollars coming in, flowing into my bank, my accounts, that I can invest in different things, that allows
the
me.
infrastructure bill literally funds programs that are being invested into in terms of infrastructure under the Trump administration. So some of the investment that you see under Trump's administration is actually because of Biden, yet you're not even considering that. What do you mean?
That.
Like, maybe Trump should pass something to address this. Or maybe his tariff policy is not working so effectively.
It's not so it's not.
And why do we keep seeing
working.
it decline every single month? Like, we saw more in the prior months, right? And then we're seeing less every single month.
Yes, but you can't when you're present in the moment, you can't always account for what's going to happen in the future. So I'm not disagreeing with the decrease of investment in the manufacturing sector over the first 6 quarters of Trump's administration as being as the end result. You don't look back at Trump's first administration and say, "Oh, that's a complete failure because we didn't see it in 2017 or 2018." You have to wait sometime until half the time in order to get a full understanding or respect for what happened in those.
Well, let me tell you, by Q1 2019, we had already seen growth in manufacturing investment.
How much?
Yeah, it was by well, it's only by it went from 71 to 73. But that's still some level of growth. At least there's something increasing there. Now, it decreased after that, but the point that I would make is that there was at least something you got there. Under Trump's administration so far, we're just seeing massive decline. And also, like, again, if your whole policy there was to increase manufacturing investment, and yet we see it declining, can you explain to me how you have good policy for manufacturing investment? Like, that makes zero sense if we've seen a decline and we're a year and a half into his administration, and his main economic policy to drive that manufacturing investment will be over soon.
Potentially.
No, I would say most likely.
Or he said thank you. He definitely a strong Trump supporter. That was my partner, but
He doesn't want to talk to me anymore. Okay, well, that's okay. That's okay. If they're open to talk again in the future, we can as well. Appreciate you coming up.
Thank you. Bye.